Good evening and welcome to Channel 8 Sports, where tonight the East Brunswick High School Bears take on the Woodbridge Barrons in a Middlesex County Conference game. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, and joining me once again are two good friends, Jim Allinder and Phil Hill. Gentlemen, East Brunswick, Woodbridge. East Brunswick comes in 2-1-1. Fine game last week against Edison. And let's start off with the Bears. They're at home tonight, Jim. They're ready for this, I would imagine.
I think they are, at least Marcus Borden assures us they will be. You know, John, this game is not unlike the Madison Central game of 2 weeks ago when East Brunswick came in off a big win against Brick Township and then proceeded to lose 22-0. It was obviously was a lot of excitement. It was the first night game at J. Doyle Field. They've come off a big win against Edison, 33-14, and now they're back home again. Like I said, Borden assures us that there's not going to be a letdown. And I have to believe he's going to be right. Woodbridge is a quality team. They do have a 2-1 record. However, the two wins have come against suspect opponents, Cedar Ridge and Perth Amboy, and the one loss that they have had, or the one game that they have had against a quality opponent, J.P. Stevens, resulted in a 20-7 loss. If East Brunswick plays its game, and we're going to talk more about that later, I believe they'll be the winner tonight.
Okay, speaking of Woodbridge, Phil, I know you've been scouting them all week.
Right.
They look like a big team on the field. Your assessment?
They're a good-sized team. They're coming off a devastating loss from J.P. Stevens. Coach Frank Capral said simply that they kicked our tails. And they're sort of like East Brunswick coming in after that Madison Central game. They got a lot to prove. They want to redeem themselves. And they're going to have a tough time with this East Brunswick team. What they have to do is do what they do best, which is run the ball. Okay. Frank Capral says simply that they must have 50 possessions. They must have 50 offensive possessions in order to win the game. What he's saying simply is that they must control the ball. And if they control the ball, he feels they can be in the game and possibly win it. What they must guard against is the long play, not necessarily the big play, the long play. And East Brunswick has shown that they can do the long play. And he feels if he can shut that down, they can win the game.
You know, speaking of big plays, again, even in the Edison game, we saw Mitch Gordon from Edison break a few big runs and had a big play there in the third period, I believe it was, some 79 yards. And that's something we've talked about the last several weeks. East Brunswick needs to stay away from that big play. Does Woodbridge have that capability, Phil?
Woodbridge has a kid, Beneziak, his name is, Beneziak, and he's the kid that can break it. But Caparal's not really concerned, I don't think, so much with breaking it. He looked at those Madison Central films and he saw a weakness where he figures he can move the ball. What he wants to do is control the ball. And if he can move the ball steadily down the field on East Brunswick and eat up the clock, he'll be very satisfied.
Okay, Jim, how's East Brunswick come in terms of their health? Any injuries?
Just Joe, Jimenez is out with a broken wrist. He sustained, and everybody else is healthy as far as I know.
All right, so that's the pre-game show here from East Brunswick High School. Second game under the lights at home for the Bears, and they'll be entertaining Woodbridge tonight. So let's get ready for this first period action.
We'd like to pause for a moment to say thank you to the people that are responsible for these beautiful lights. First, we'd like to thank the Board of Education and present this plaque to them on behalf of the athletes and all of the students at East Brunswick High School. It's presented to the Board of Education and their president, Dr. David Seiden. We'd also like to present those members of the board that are present this evening with a little memento of our appreciation of Bears hat. Dr. Seiden, Mr. Sorrell, Mr. Moore, Mr. Searle, Mr. Rosen, Dr. Beatty, Would also like to say thanks to the Township Council and present this plaque to the President of the Council, Mr. O'Connor. And also a hat to Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Walker, and Mr. Runyon. Thank you very much. We'd also like to thank Mayor William Fox for all of his efforts on behalf of this project. Mayor Fox, thank you very much.
So everybody's anxious to get on with the game. I just want to say that the kind of cooperation that the erection of these lights represents is the kind of cooperation that we hope we'll see all the time in the future between the township and the school district. Thank you.
Dr. Sargent. Thank you. I couldn't agree with the mayor more, and I think these lights symbolize the kind of cooperation that serves all members of this community well. Lots of luck, team. Thank you very much. If you'll all rise and join in the singing of the national anthem.
Well, good evening and welcome to East Brunswick High School football. I'm John Meggiolaro, and I'm being joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill as we get ready for the East Brunswick Woodbridge game here at J. Doyle Field. Before the game, we had some special ceremonies concerning the dedication of the lights here at the facility. Charlie King, athletic director, giving plaques out to the town council and Board of Education members. And so with the festivities aside, we're about ready for football. Jimmy and Phil, we're about ready for kickoff, and any last comments before we get underway here?
Yeah, okay, John. We talked about how much the Bears have learned from that game last week, or actually the loss before that, and how they put it into practice against Edison. And I think probably the biggest turnaround was the offensive display that was turned in. 33 points was the most that they scored all season long. Mark Harmon and Bill Brunig were the two workhorses for the Bears, each running for about 75 yards. And I was also very impressed with Matt Miller with how he handled the ball. And as always, he's a very crunching blocker. But you know, the real improvement that I observed was with Brian Forte. 8 for 15, 139 yards, using the pass selectively when it was needed, choosing his primary receivers. Kenny Pruss was the recipient of 4 passes. All in all, it was a great offensive show, and it gives them quite a spark for tonight's game. And as we said before the contest, it was a similar situation in that they had come in come back from the Brick game with a good offensive display. But I really do think that they've put that behind them. They've learned from that experience. They've demonstrated it through the way they played against Edison. And I'm looking for some good things tonight from the offense.
Okay, Phil, we don't know that much about Woodbridge, but they're a big team, and obviously this is an important game for them.
Well, a very important game for them, Jim. Like I said, they like to redeem themselves. They suffered a devastating loss to J.P. Stevens. They're a senior-laden team, and East Brunswick cannot let their guard down. I mean, one thing Frank Caparro looked at was the Madison Central films, and I think he's going to try to duplicate a lot of things Madison Central has done. So East Brunswick will have to be very careful.
All right, the Woodbridge Barons won the toss and they'll receive. They'll be moving right to left on your screen. They're in the white visitors jersey. The Bears will be in their home green jerseys. Josh Miller should be teeing it up for the Bears. As we're about ready to get underway here, East Brunswick comes in 2-1-1. And again, another big contest within the division.
John, as we move along, we're going to look at some of the players on both teams, but I do understand, talking to Marcus before the game, that we will see some new faces on the offensive and defensive lines. You remember at the beginning of the season we were speaking a lot of Ted Pazinko, Larry Novak, and Scott Brenowitz. Slowly but surely, Borden has integrated some new faces, and I see the wisdom behind that. You certainly can't ask those three to go both ways during the course of the game, but we now have the insertion of Sean Smith, who's going to be playing. A new face, Don Sofoconic, will be playing tonight. Anthony DiGiovanni, we've seen him already, and of course the three people that I've mentioned already before.
All right, we're getting ready for the opening kickoff. And we'll try to give you the numbers of the men back deep for Woodbridge. Number 23 is Ed Doring, who's a quarterback who's back to receive the kickoff. Rather unusual. Must be one of their better athletes. And here we go, Josh Miller. Fine kick. This will be Doring at about the 3-yard line. Up to the 20. And he'll get around the 22-yard line to start off.
I'll tell you, John, you pointed out it's very rare that you put your quarterback on the kickoff receiving team. I mean, he's the man that's at the center of controls, and you start off the game by getting him banged out, and that's not a good beginning.
All right, Woodbridge will start on their own 23, 1st and 10. They have Doring, number 23, at quarterback, 33 McKim at fullback, and Ed Vanaziak as the other running back. This is Doring.
John and Phil, watch for a little bit of a switch in the defense tonight on East Brunswick's part. Borden says they might go to a 4-3 concept instead of the 46. Usual sort of blitzing that'll be going on.
That was Beniziak. He gets across the 25, 2nd down. Let's call it 2nd and about 8 for the Barons. Ball on their own 26. Doring hands off. This is McKim.
Well, Phil, I think you're right. Woodbridge is running the ball.
Well, that's what they're going to do. They don't have much of a passing game to speak of at all, and when they do, it's actually the 2nd-string quarterback who is the better passer. They got to get their fullback, McKim, going. The wing T relies, before the wing T can really work, you have to have that fullback going. If the fullback's not going, the wing T is going to have problems.
All right, Woodbridge in a 3rd and 6 situation. The ball on their own 27. Doring keeps the ball. He's looking to throw it. Puts it up. He has a man, but it's wide. And East Brunswick will take over.
John, I was going to say something about East Brunswick's secondary. Everybody's been touting them, yet they have only one interception, and actually the interception was by Ted Pazinko in the first game of the year. We all remember that one. But I think the reason for that is because people are staying away from the secondary. They're so good. They're trying to run the ball.
All right, Woodbridge will be in punt formation. Back deep for the Bears, Brunig and Pruss. Low kick. They go out of bounds around the East Brunswick 47, and good field position for the Bears to start off.
Extremely good field position. That was a poor kick.
That's surprising. The punter, Ed Deering, he punted 6 times last week and averaged 45 yards, but he didn't get a good one off then.
All right, the ball spotted on the East Brunswick 46. They'll have it 1st and 10. Forte's at quarterback. Miller and Brunig in the backfield. Rather Harmon, and that's Harmon with the ball. He's looking on an option pass for Pruss. Pruss has got it. He's inside the 20. Well, a little razzle-dazzle to start it off.
Marcus Borden, true to form, razzle-dazzle surprises. I tell you, the defensive back misjudged the play. Pruss was out there, but he had to wait and come back to the ball and out-jumped the defensive back for the ball. Made a good reception.
That's 1st down for the Bears on the Barons 18-yard line, 1st and 10. So East Brunswick's threatening here, 2nd possession. Forte looking to throw. Over the middle, it's intercepted.
That it is. Well, there goes the drive. The drive stops on that play. Ill-advised pass, Phil?
Well, no, I can't say that. They did what they had to do. But a good defensive play by the Dennis McKim. He's the fullback and the linebacker. And you got to always like a kid that's a fullback and a linebacker also. He's right in the right place.
All right, Woodbridge will take over now, 1st and 10 on their own 15 following the interception. Dorian calling signals. Hand off to McKim. McKim will pick up close to 5 yards.
Don't be surprised if Woodbridge does a little option. They watch the Madison Central films. I got that feeling from Frank Capral and speaking to him, and they may try a little bit of option, and you can do it off the wing tee.
All right, 2nd and 7 for the Barons. Ball on their own 18. Dorian hands off. That's McKim again.
Phil, you talk about Frank Capral wanting to try anything against East Brunswick. I believe it. We're not going to overplay this, but there's really not any love lost between Frank Capral and Marcus Borden. So it goes back about 2 years ago when Marcus attempted a field goal, or had Tempezinko attempt a field goal with about a 30-point lead.
Wow.
And Frank didn't care for that too much.
All right, let's call a 3rd and 4. Woodbridge on their own 22. No score in the game. We've just started action. That's Durian with a keeper. He's going to be short of the 1st down. So it brings up another 4th down for the Barons. Ball at their own 25.
Well, John, it's not pretty ball that Woodbridge plays. They play that ball control, and they'll just continually run the ball at you. Joel Youngchuck, one of the East Brunswick coaches, should be used to this type of ball. He's from Pennsylvania, and that's the type of ball they play. 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Boy, I don't want the Pennsylvania people to hear that one.
All right, Woodbridge. Again, will punt, 2nd time in the game. Again, a poor kick. East Brunswick's going to have excellent field position as the ball is down at around the Woodbridge 45.
You got to wonder about the punter's ability to kick the ball. He said 45-yard average.
He punted 6 times against J.P. Stevens and averaged 45 yards, unless J.P. Stevens had nobody back and the ball just rolled. I don't know. Our spotter tells us they were great punts. Maybe he's got to get warmed up.
All right, the Bears with excellent field position once again. They're on the Woodbridge 45, 1st and 10. This is Matt Miller right up the middle. Miller fumbles. It's going to be recovered by East Brunswick, I believe. So the ball actually is back to the original line of scrimmage, brings up a 2nd and 10.
Rob Perez recovered that fumble there, luckily for East Brunswick.
7 minutes to go, 1st period action. No score here, East Brunswick Woodbridge. Forte rolls right, being pressured. Gets the ball off, fine catch. I think that's Bill Brunig. It is. He'll be inside the Woodbridge 40.
Of course, we have seen Forte use that play time and again, rolling to his right, avoiding the tackle, finding the open receiver. In this case, it was Billy Brunig.
Third and 4 for the Bears. Ball on the Woodbridge 39. Here's the pitch, Harmon right side, got an opening. Fine run, Mark Harmon. First down for the Bears.
East Brunswick spread Woodbridge out wide to the left and ran back to the short side, and Mark Harmon picked up good yardage, a first down.
And of course, we've seen that play a lot too, splitting the right side of the line.
Ball is now on the Woodbridge 25. The Bears threatening once again. First and 10. This is Brunig, left side. Bill Brunig fights his way close to the 15, close to the 20 rather.
Nice block there by tight end Dave Novak. Cleared out the line there and enabled Brunig to pick up good yardage.
And Dennis McKim for Woodbridge on the tackle.
Let's call it a 2nd and 5 for the Bears. Forte looking to throw. He's got Pruss open, but overthrows him.
Well, John actually had 2 receivers in that area. He had Pruss, a short, and he had Joe Giroux a little deeper. He threw right between them.
Bears will be looking at a 3rd and 5 from the Woodbridge 21. We have no score. 5:15 first period action. That's Brunig in motion. Forte, little hitch pass over Brunig's head.
Wow. He certainly put too much mustard on it that time. It was high, and he really put a lot on it. Brunig had no chance of catching that ball.
All right, Josh Miller come out for the field goal. You're right, Phil, just a little too much heat on that one.
John, you want to call the yardage on this?
We'll see where Josh sets it up. You're setting me up, Jimmy. I got a feeling here.
Okay, I see it as it's at the 27-yard line.
Let's call it a 37-yard field goal.
I'll agree with that.
Josh Miller, 37 yards to put East Brunswick on the board. The kick is up, and it's good. Josh Miller, 37 yards out, and East Brunswick's on the board.
Okay, Josh, way to go, baby.
I'll tell you, Jimmy, you didn't mention it at the top of the game, but I understand Josh Miller had a pulled groin muscle sometime during the week, and he seemed to have recovered from that.
I wasn't aware of the pulled groin muscle.
Listen, I must let you know, in my zeal to zing you last week about that 40-yarder, the second longest kick by an East Brunswick team, I got the kid's wrong name. Actually, it was Danny Levine and not Dennis Levine who kicked the 40-yarder against Brick. Sorry, Danny.
And you can address your comments to Phil Hill at Channel 8. All right, gentlemen. Josh Miller tee it up. East Brunswick takes the lead 3-0 on the board first.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I noticed that Miller is kicking more comfortably this evening. The kickoff went 3 yards short of the end zone, so he definitely is doing better tonight.
Well, maybe he heard what I said about having fun last week. I'll take credit for that.
All right.
Here's the kick. Fine kick. Woodbridge will field it at the 4. That's during the quarterback. He's got some running room. And he's up close to the 35, his own 35. Nice run back.
I'll tell you what, I'm seeing a lot of extracurricular activity out there. I'm just wondering what the coaches said to the players before the game, because there's a lot of hitting going on.
Well, Jimmy, you pointed out that the coaches don't particularly care for each other. but I hope the teams show good sportsmanship.
And that's a good point, Phil, because we must remember that sportsmanship rule that's in effect in this conference. All right, the Barons with 1st and 10, the ball on their own 34. Durian looking to throw. Boy, he was lucky that time. That ball was thrown about waist high. Incomplete.
A really strange looking play, John. I can't describe it. I don't know what it was, to tell the truth. I think the left halfback, Venesiak, swung to the right and they tried to hit him short, but an East Brunswick player got a hand in there, so it never had a chance of materializing.
All right, it's 2nd and 10 now for the Barons. They trail 3-0. We're down to 4:31 in the first period. Handoff. This is Venesiak. And he'll be taken out of bounds, and he'll lose yardage on the play. I'm sorry, that was Gary Masters, number 24. Masters will lose a yard or two.
And as with the last game, John, the crowd is starting to file in as after the game starts.
Brings up a 3rd and 13 for the Barons, who are not noted for their passing attack. Durian will roll, looking. Fine play, Ken Pruss.
Rob Schaefer on the near quarterback sack there. I think he almost could have been called for a late hit, but such wasn't the case. Well, East Brunswick's defense 3 times shuts down the Woodbridge offense.
I'll tell you, they had a tip-off on that. That was actually the 2nd-string quarterback, Danny Englam, and he's a better passer, so anytime he goes in, you know it's probably going to be a passing play. It's good for East Brunswick and bad for Woodbridge.
I was just going to mention that, Phil. I saw the number 19, and that's Englam. So he may be the designated passer this evening. Anyway, Woodbridge must punt, and Pruss and Brunig are back. A little better punt, but still they get a good roll, Woodbridge. Brunig picks it up at the 32, and he'll cross the 35, and a flag is thrown.
Gene Kammerer, number 59, is probably going to be caught for a crackback block.
Let's wait for the call. That's what it is, Jim. And it'll be against East Brunswick, their first penalty tonight.
The first time they'll be starting a drive in their own territory.
Well, I tell you, it's early in the game, but I mean, Woodbridge is running the wing tee. It's and the way to run it, it's a hard offense to do catch-up on. And then when you got to bring in a designated passer on top of that, it's just going to make seemingly for a long day for Woodbridge. I mean, what it means is that they're really predictable. And if they're predictable, they can be stopped.
All right, the ball will be spotted at the East Brunswick 29. They'll have it 1st and 10. Giroux and Pruss out wide right for the Bears. There's a handoff to Harmon. Harmon fumbles and Woodbridge has it. The ball popped out. That's the Bears' 2nd turnover.
Jimmy, I tell you, it's a real shame that they fumbled on that play because I know Marcus Borden saw the same thing I saw. They had 2 receivers, Giroux and Pruss, split out to the right here. They had 1 Woodbridge defender trying to cover them both right in front of the East Brunswick bench.
Right.
I know Marcus Borden would have sent a play in the very next play to do something with it. Unfortunately, the fumble came.
All right, Durian's back in at quarterback. That's a handoff to McKim. McKim will be close to the 25. So the best opportunity for the Barons thus far tonight.
And we have a flag. Face mask against East Brunswick.
So East Brunswick, a lot of mistakes here in the first quarter. You know, on fumbles, that was only the 3rd time that East Brunswick has lost a fumble all season long.
Well, they went all last week and played an entire game without a turnover at all. And they have 2 already here.
Major penalty against the Bears.
Well, the defense has shown the ability to stop Woodbridge on the run. certainly will have to put up a stand here now.
All right, after the penalty, the Barons will have the ball 1st and 10 on the East Brunswick 13. They trail 3-0. Bearing to McKim. McKim's the workhorse of this team.
Boy, Phil, they really are predictable.
They are really predictable, and they would just rely on grinding it out off tackle. McKim, John, you're right, is the workhorse. He's the one that has to get things rolling for him. But Woodbridge may be content to pick up 3 yards as you go. If they do it in this situation, they can score.
McKim brings it down to the 10-yard line. We have 2:53 to go, first period. The Bears are out in the lead, 3-0, but the Barons are threatening. Second and 7 for Woodbridge. Darian has the ball. No, this is Anglum. He's in the quarterback. He's hit. The ball's fumbled. Woodbridge will hold on to it, though. Schaefer again.
Rob Schaefer, as he has been doing all season long, getting it on the quarterback.
I hate to belabor a point, but again, Anglin came in, so we know it's a pass. East Brunswick pushes the rush on, hits him, makes him fumble the ball. Very predictable.
All right, that'll move Woodbridge back to the 15, where it'll be 3rd and 11. 2 minutes to go in the first period. Anglin is still that quarterback. He's going to be sacked. Bob Schaefer.
Not more you can say about that. East Brunswick recognizing it was a passing situation. Schaefer shooting the gap.
Well, it's 4th down. They do have a field goal kicker, number 40, Adam Joet. He kicked the 35-yarder already this year, so he's going to try his luck here, John.
And he's out here.
Okay, Joet, this will be about a 38-yarder. Here's the kick. A flag is thrown. The kick is good. We'll see what the flag is. Apparently it's a procedure against Woodbridge.
Sure, Woodbridge going on a quick count. Have to be set for 1 full second.
Big break for East Brunswick.
And he's going to still attempt this kick. You know, he just made it. You have to wonder if this might not be a fake.
This is about a 43-yarder, and he's going to be short, way short. So Woodbridge unable to capitalize on a fumble recovery, and East Brunswick will take over with 56 seconds to go in the first period. They're in the lead, 3-0.
All in all, a very fine defensive effort by the East Brunswick defense.
And a big mental mistake by Woodbridge, which cost them.
All right, the Bears will have it on their own 20, 1st and 10. Forte's going to pass. He's in the pocket. He's got time. Looking for Joe Giroux. The ball is just a little behind him.
Phil, just an observation. It seems tonight that Brian is just hurrying his passes a little.
It's a good observation. It does seem like he's in too much of a hurry just to get it out there. You know, maybe it's homecoming, the excitement, and he wants to get the show on the road. I don't know.
All right, 2nd and 10 for the Bears. The ball still on their own 20. 50 seconds to go, first period. Here's an inside handoff to Brunig.
Talk about Brunig's passing. You know, we just cannot forget, Brian Forte's passing. Just can't forget that he is a sophomore. And we can't expect sophomores to have a consistent performance week after week. This is the 5th game of the season, and he's bound to be a little errant once in a while. He'll settle down, though.
The Bears in shotgun formation, 3rd and 9, the ball on their own 21. Forte, handoff to Harmon. Mark Harmon breaks a few tackles. Forte throws a block. Can Harmon turn the corner? And he goes out of bounds, picks up maybe a yard.
Tackle by Ed Beneziak. Well, the strength of this Woodbridge team is their linebackers, and they strung it out and played it right.
And that's the end of the first quarter. The score, East Brunswick 3, Woodbridge nothing.
John, if we have a moment, if the camera's going to pan over to the refreshment stand there, you'll notice that it's a little bit bigger now. It's just been enlarged, and some thanks go to Mike Skirka, Jim Manfreda, Charlie Tabasco, and Tom Lyons for doing all the brickwork. Some thanks also to the manager for 28 years, Rick Ronchi, and his staff is Gloria Smalley, his wife Linda Ronchi, his daughter Louise Ronchi, Joe Henry, Irma Henry, a hot dog Mary Carney, I am told, and Charlie King's wife, Linda King. And by the way, Rick wants us to make sure to let everybody know that the boss is Charlie King, and they take the direction from him. And he's been really instrumental in helping them do a job over the years.
Hey, for someone to be there 28 years and say that, he must be a class individual.
He really is. And I must say that the refreshment stand looks really nice.
Let me say something else, too, about Rick Ronchi. He had girls in high school when they didn't have girls' high school sports, and he's been following the teams for 28 years. All right, the Bears will go in punt formation. It's 4th and 9 on their own 21. Forte will do the punting. Forte gets off a fine kick. That's going to drive Doreen back, and he'll let it bounce, and it'll be down by East Brunswick.
Tell you what, that was one kick.
Well, it was a great kick. East Brunswick's going to have a kicking game for the next 3 years. After next year, once they use Josh Miller, they got Levine, and now they also got Forte, who's going to do the punting, so the kicking game's going to be strong for the next few years.
Right, I see Billy Bruning limping off the field right now. It doesn't look to be too serious.
All right, the Barons will start off 1st and 10 on their own 37. They trail 3-0 as we start the second period. Dorian hands off. That's McKim fighting his way. McKim across the 40.
I'll tell you, he's a tough little fella.
Somehow Woodbridge is squirming out a few yards there in the middle.
McKim brings it up to around the 43, so it'll be 2nd and around 5 for the Barons. This is Beneziak. He'll be short of the first down. All right, Woodbridge with a 3rd and 1 on their own 47. Durian on a quarterback keeper. He fumbled the ball, and East Brunswick has it.
Wow.
So the first turnover by Woodbridge.
So Woodbridge still without a first down in 4 possessions.
Looks like Dave Novak came up with that fumble recovery.
All right, the Bears with good field position in Woodbridge territory.
So far, I have Forte 1 for 5 passing and 1 completion to Bruning for 7 yards, and also 1 interception.
The Bears 1st and 10. That's Mark Harmon, big hole. Harmon trying to get to the outside. He should have enough for a first down, though. Let's see where they spot it. Just short.
Nice run by Harmon.
We'll call it 2nd and 2. The ball at the Woodbridge 39. Forte, that's Miller. He's got the first down.
It's a first down. Jimmy, you mentioned last week you don't think Matt Miller has been thrown for a loss yet this year. And he picked up a much-needed first down right there.
Well, actually, his first carry tonight, Phil, he was held for no yardage. He was the recipient of that fumble, if you remember.
We have a fast-moving game here, 9:19 in second period. East Brunswick with the ball. 1st and 10 on the Woodbridge 36. Harmon outside. And he'll pick up maybe 2.
Phil, you're right about those linebackers. It seemed like East Brunswick had a lot of room there on the outside. Came up and covered that real quick.
We had one of the offensive guards for East Brunswick who didn't stick with his block, and the linebacker slid right off it to make the tackle.
Still somewhat of a sustained drive here. They're already down to the 33-yard line.
2nd and 7 for the Bears. Brunig reversed the press. He's going to throw it. Sets up. He's got a man wide open.
That's Dave Novak.
Dave Novak, the tight end, wide open. Inside the 10 for the Bears.
Well, John, I tell you, Marcus Gordon again, they come with a double reverse, fake the triple reverse, plus stops, pulls up, and hits Novak long all by himself. If the young man could have stayed on his feet, he would have had a touchdown. Nice play.
All right, the ball spotted at the Woodbridge 8-yard line. 1st and goal for the Bears. They lead 3-0 with 8:17 second period. This is Miller. Miller will fight his way for a yard or 2.
It's really interesting, the 2 longest passing plays for East Brunswick this evening. Harmon on the 35-yarder to Kenny Pruss, and then the one we just saw.
They spot the ball at the Woodbridge 6. It'll be 2nd and goal now for the Bears. Forte, pitch to Harmon. Harmon's got the right side if he can turn the corner, and just dives out of bounds.
Very fine effort. It looks like he was going to be stopped there, but he was able to edge himself forward.
Benesiak making a fine tackle to keep him from going in the end zone.
It's marked around the 2.5-yard line.
And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to speculate on who the play's going to go to or what. They've got 2 shots at the goal line here.
Well, I'm going to speculate.
Okay.
I think it's going to Matt Miller straight up the gut.
I would agree with that call if that was it.
All right, the Bears 3rd and goal, 3 yards for a score. Forte still has the ball. Looking in the end zone.
Yes.
It's a touchdown. That's Dave Novak.
I think that was Kenny Pruss, John. Okay, it was Novak, okay.
So Novak on a 3-yard pass from Forte, and the Bears go out in front 9-0.
You know, we called Matt Miller on that. You know, Matt wasn't even on the play there. Joey DeVito was in.
Shows you what I know. Dave Novak making a nice catch, his first touchdown of the year for the young man. His 2nd reception and first touchdown.
Josh Miller on for the extra point. Kick is up, and it's good, and East Brunswick's lead now is increased to 10-0 over Woodbridge. 6:49 to go here in the second period.
So Phil, East Brunswick really does seem to look comfortable out there. The defense, of course, have played well. They stopped Woodbridge on the only opportunity that they have for a score, shut them down 3 times on the other occasions. And then, of course, the offenses have been doing the job tonight.
I tell you, I like Marcus Gordon's approach to the game. He doesn't try to save anything or hide anything. What he tries to do is give the opposing team, the scouting team, a whole lot to think about. They can't possibly stop everything. He does triple reverses, passes off them. When you think he's going to do a 2-yard dive, he throws for a touchdown there. So he's giving the opposing team, no matter who they are, a whole lot to think about. And I like that.
That's right on the money. You know, Forte had a lot of time to throw that ball. The element of surprise was gone, but the fact was Dave Novak was open in the end zone and he hit him.
Josh Miller will kick it off for the Bears. By the way, there's a fine crowd here tonight. This stadium is packed on the East Brunswick side. Nice high kick by Miller, short this time, fielded around the 20 by Woodbridge. And that's McKim with the ball. So Woodbridge will take over. 6:42 to go in the second period. They trail now 10-0.
Well, you got to think that Woodbridge has to go to the air. They're certainly not having a lot of success on the ground.
Ball's on their own 30, and they have Anglem in there at quarterback now, so we may see some passing. No, it's a draw play to Masters.
A lot of misdirection on that.
Well, John, you pointed out that they have Anglem in there, and that would seem like they're going to do some passing. You're right.
Masters picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Barons. The ball on their own 35. Anglem is at quarterback. Inside handoff, that's McKim. And Woodbridge content to stick with their game plan.
It's another third down situation.
Third down and about 2 for the Barons.
Well, I'd look out for the tight end, number 90, Al Bigos, on this play. He's got pretty good hands, and I'm not so sure they'll run it, but they may.
There's the handoff to McKim. McKim dives for the first down, and he'll have it.
And that's Woodbridge's first.
So McKim brings it out to his own 42. It'll be 1st and 10. 5:09 to go. Second period action here at J. Doyle Field.
And we're seeing that 4-3 defense now for East Brunswick.
Anglem still at quarterback.
He's got room here.
That's Beneziak. And he picks up about 8 yards on the run.
Well, Beneziak is their speed merchant. He's the fastest guy they have on the team, and if anybody's going to break one, it's going to be Beneziak. He's a pretty good runner.
And we'll have an official timeout for a measurement.
John, let's look at the fall sports action for East Brunswick. The boys soccer team is currently 10-1-1 with a 1-0 victory over Saraville earlier this week, and then a 2-2 tie under the lights here last Wednesday against a rather good Toms River East club.
The measurement is short, Jim, just to interrupt you.
Sure. By the way, congratulations to Hani Hanin, who was voted the Newark Star Ledger Boy Athlete of the Week. Well, the boys team is going to be home tomorrow against Edison, and then Tuesday they'll travel to J.P. Stevens for a very important game.
Well, Jimmy, also congratulations to Stacy Swaka. She was the female athlete of the week for the Home News. So soccer's going great. And when you think about the fact that Ben Letson, the freshman for Rutgers, is having a great year already, you know that East Brunswick has done wonders with their soccer program.
All right. I was going to talk more about the girls soccer team later, but we might as well say right now, they are now ranked #1 in the state by the Star Ledger.
Tremendous. Lou Costa doing a fine job.
All right, the Barons, 2nd and 1, the ball on the East Brunswick 48. Anglem still has the ball. He's looking to throw. He's going deep with it and overthrown. He was looking for number 90, his tight end, Biggis.
Well, Anglem shows a fine arm there. Phil, I wonder why Woodbridge would not pass more.
Well, they're going to pass more if he's in there, but again, with their offense, the wing T, it's meant for the better ball handler. Like I said, you got to hand off, you got to do some options sometime, and apparently they feel Deering is better at that. When they have to pass, number 19, Anglem has to be in there.
And Anglin is still the quarterback. The Barons with a 3rd and 1 now. Ball still at the East Brunswick 48. This is McKim, and McKim is not going to make it.
He was stopped short.
In fact, I believe he lost a yard. And another 4th down for Woodbridge.
Fine defensive effort by East Brunswick line.
And it does not appear as though Woodbridge wants to punt the ball.
4th and 2 now. McKim loses a yard on that carry. And Woodbridge will go for it.
They're taking an awful lot of time on this play.
3:55 before halftime. Woodbridge is trailing 10-0. And they have a 4th and 2. Ball just over the midfield stripe. Anglin on an option. He still has it. Pitches back to McKim. Kim has running room and the 1st down.
Well, that certainly excited the Woodbridge side of the field. That's only their 2nd first down, 3rd first down of the game. It is their number 2.
All right, McKim brings the ball to the East Brunswick 36, where it'll be 1st and 10. Clock is running. Anglin hands off. That's Beneziak.
He gets 2 hard-earned yards. Credit Dave Novak on that tackle.
I tell you, it's very crucial for Woodbridge to get something during this drive here. They got 2 minutes and 55 seconds left, and with the type of offense they have, they really need to score this half.
I agree with you, Phil.
We have a timeout, official timeout.
We mentioned that East Brunswick was inserting 4 down linemen here. I see Brenowitz out there, along with Sean White. DiGiovanni is also on the line now. And 71 Ted Bazinko.
The official is checking over at the Woodbridge sideline. Apparently one of the players is having an equipment problem of some sort.
Just to set you up on the linebackers, DeVito, 22, Novak, 38, Matt Miller, 36, and Rob Schaefer, 33. And a 3-back secondary with Brunig, Rick Oken, and Kenny Pruss.
All right, the Barons will have it 2nd and 8. 2:37 to go before half. They trail 10-0. Anglin with the ball, looking to throw. Fine read by Schaefer. Rob Schaefer, great defensive play.
Really was, John. He apparently saw that pass coming. The quarterback would have done well to throw it a little higher, but
If he could have knocked it up a little higher, he would have gone about 60 yards for a touchdown.
Well, a big crowd on hand for tonight's homecoming. And they're seeing plenty of action. 2:30 to go, 2nd period. East Brunswick leads 2-0. 3rd down and 8 for the Barons. The ball on the East Brunswick 34 rather.
Watch number 88.
Anglin hands off to McKim up the middle. He'll pick up about 3 yards, no more. And another 4th down.
yeah, but this time, John, they have a lot more yards to go.
Well, I'm just going to say this. This is not a very imaginative offense. It just really isn't.
Fourth and 6 for the Barons. Let's see what they do here. We're inside of 2 minutes now. And they're taking a lot of time in that huddle. Apparently they're going to go for it. Anglin's at quarterback. And he's got it. He's going to look to throw over the middle. And broken up, you called it, Phil. They were looking for their tight end, Biggis. And East Brunswick was right there to deflect the ball away.
They had a host of East Brunswick defensive backs right there to break it up. Kenny Pruss leading the charge.
And with a minute 42 left, East Brunswick does have plenty of time to march down its end of the field.
All right, the Bears 1st and 10 on their own 33, 1:42 to go before half.
Let's see if Brian cranks it up here. Haven't seen the shotgun tonight, have we?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, one time they were in shotgun. This is Harmon.
I believe East Brunswick has all 3 of its timeouts left.
They do, Jim.
Okay.
Harmon close to the 35. We're going to have a timeout, Woodbridge.
Interesting call.
I'll tell you, see Frank Cabral coming out there. He's an institution in Middlesex County. He's been coaching for 24 years, 14 years as a head coach and 10 years as an assistant. He's also been using pretty much the same offense and defense for all that time, the wing T and basically a 4-4 in defense. But a nice man. I never talked to a more pleasant man, particularly coach. Most time coaches aren't too pleasant right before games, but he's a really nice man.
Did you ask him about Marcus Borden?
No, I didn't. And some of you people might remember his brother, Vinny Cabral, who coached at Edison for 10 years and now is the head coach at Uppsala College. And a lot of our area athletes go there and play ball. So it's a well-known name in Middlesex County, Cabral.
I just want to quickly read off some of the stats I've been keeping here concerning East Brunswick's defense. Woodbridge has had 7 possessions this half. They have gone down to 4th down on 4 of those possessions without any results to speak of. They had a missed field goal and a fumble. So East Brunswick's defense has really shut down Woodbridge.
Just those 3 consecutive first downs on that drive by Woodbridge is all they've given up.
All right, the Bears, it'll be 2nd and 8. The ball on their own 35. Forte is going to put it in the air.
There's Pruss open.
Pruss is wide open. He's got it. 1st down. He's into Woodbridge territory.
Well, if anybody's ever been scouting East Brunswick will see that they'll do that play very often where they'll just flood an area. And this time, Pruss broke wide open and Forte hit him.
And the clock rolls now.
Minute 19, the ball on the Woodbridge 44. 1st and 10, Forte looking a quick hitch pass. That's Ken Pruss out of bounds at the 40.
I believe the official has called that incomplete.
Okay, Pruss is down on the sideline, and we're going to have a timeout. He's holding his knee, but I don't want to speculate as to what the injury is.
You're right, John. We don't want to speculate on the injury. We certainly don't want it to be a knee injury. Kenny Pruss, of course, a prime blue chipper, destined for a fine Division I college career.
All right, Kenny's being attended to on the sideline, the Woodbridge sideline, by Phil Hostler, the trainer, and Marcus Borden is over there.
I guess with the official marking the ball back at the line of scrimmage, it is an incomplete pass. Okay.
You're right, Jim.
I certainly hope it's nothing serious, but we need to say what it is. Kenny Pruss is probably the biggest loss East Brunswick could have if he were to be injured seriously, and I certainly hope he isn't.
All right, they're still attending to Ken Pruss on the Woodbridge sideline. It was a little hitch pass from Forte to Pruss. It looked as though he made the reception and was knocked out of bounds. And we'll see. Phil Hostler over there working on him. And Kenny's getting up to his feet, which is a good sign.
From the way Pruss is walking, it appears to be a knee strain. Nothing more than that.
Wow.
We'll try to get some information at halftime. As you see Ken Pruss walk off the field, let me set the situation for you. We have 1 minute and 4 to go before halftime. East Brunswick is leading 10-0. They have a 2nd and 10 on the Woodbridge 44.
Well, he seems to be all right, and we're glad to see that. Of course, they lost their other starting wide receiver 2 weeks ago Edwin Jimenez with the broken wrist. We wish Eddie well.
All right, the Bears ready to go. 2nd and 10, Forte rolling to his left, being pressured. Flag is thrown. Forte fighting his way and tries to dump it off. He had Oken in the area. We'll see what the flag is. It's a hold against East Brunswick, so that'll move him back.
Again, Brian Forte showed his strength, though. I mean, they're tugging on him, trying to get him down, and he still manages to get the ball off.
All right, the official is explaining the options to Woodbridge, and Woodbridge is going to take the penalty. Holding against East Brunswick, and I guess they're afraid of Josh Miller's foot.
That's exactly what I was thinking, John.
That'll move the ball back into East Brunswick territory. East Brunswick 42. It'll be 2nd, and let's call it about 20 yards for a first. Maybe more, closer to 25. And whistles are blown. Another flag.
It appeared that Novak was going on a different count than the rest of the team. It's very fortunate that Brian Forte did not fumble the ball on that snap.
Well, Jimmy, there's a good sign. Phil Hostler isn't even attending to Kenny Pruss, so apparently the young man's all right.
I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
A procedure call, Jim, against East Brunswick. The ball is now moved back to the East Brunswick 36.
I was just going to say we're probably going to not see Pruss for the rest of this half.
Let's call it 2nd and a bundle here. 55 seconds to go before half. Pitch Brunig, right side. Billy, some nice running. He'll go out of bounds, stops the clock with 47 seconds. Bring up a 3rd down for East Brunswick. The ball just shy of midfield. Let's call it the 47-yard line. It's 3rd and about 18 for the Bears. They're in the lead, 10-0. It's homecoming here at East Brunswick. Fine crowd on hand. Forte drops back, looking to set up a screen. He's forced out of the play, and he'll run out of bounds.
Well, John, you were right. He looked like he was looking to throw back to Mark Harmon, but number 33, Dennis McKim, was right in the middle of it, so Forte brought the ball back down and tried to pick up some yardage on his own.
And we're down to 39 seconds. And actually, with all that running around, Brian got back to the line of scrimmage. So it'll be 4th and 18 for the Bears. They'll punt it away. Forte doing the punting.
I'm surprised that Doring's only back on his 20. I would think that Forte can kick a little bit further than this.
Ooh, and he just gets it off. The ball's going to settle around the Woodbridge 25. 31 seconds.
And the reason was Woodbridge was rushing the punter. So we should see East Brunswick in its prevent defense. And Pruss is back out on the field.
And the clock is running. We're down to 27 seconds. We may see one more play before halftime. Anglem is at quarterback still. He's going to look to throw. He's being pressured by DeVito. He's hit. The ball's fumbled. It's picked up. Pazinko, Ted Pazinko. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Timeout. East Brunswick.
You know, Phil, you talk, Phil, about not picking up the ball, falling on it. I think that was one instance, perhaps, where maybe East Brunswick may have wanted to pick it up and run with it.
Well, Jimmy, there is a time to do it, and there's a time not to do it, depending on field position and whatnot. usually if it's the other guy's ball and he's lost it, it's not so bad. If it's yours, then and you're in bad field position, then you need to fall on it.
All right, gentlemen, do you go for the field goal or you try one play into the end zone with 4 seconds? Oh, Josh Miller's out there, so Marcus Borden has made his decision. It'll be about a 27-yarder.
Of course, this is on an angle to the left. Miller being a left-footed kicker.
And of course, we've seen East Brunswick do a lot of things off a field goal attempt. So doesn't necessarily have to be one.
That's correct. Kenny Pruss is the holder on this, and he's already thrown one tonight for 35 yards.
All right, 4 seconds. East Brunswick has just recovered a fumble. The ball is spotted at the Woodbridge 10. Josh Miller will attempt a 27-yard field goal when play is resumed. East Brunswick in the lead, 10-0. And we talked at the outset of the game about big plays. And that's Woodbridge's second turnover. All right, Josh Miller, 27 yards. The ball is up, and it's good.
And that was really good. A lot of foot into that ball.
And that'll end the first half here at East Brunswick High School with the Bears in the lead, 13-0. Well, what can you say, Jim and Phil? A game dominated by the defense of East Brunswick. Actually, they've shut Woodbridge down. Woodbridge trying to maintain that ball control offense, and yet they were down 10-0.
Yeah, it just wasn't working for them. They were very predictable, as Phil had mentioned. And I do think that they're going to have to do some different things in the second half. Meanwhile, East Brunswick has really shown that it can capitalize on big plays and is grinding it out. Brian Forte is not having the type of passing evening that we've seen him have before, yet he's making the important plays, showing the type of poise that a quarterback needs for on a winning team.
Okay, Phil, Woodbridge switched quarterbacks midway through the second period, putting in their better passer, Anglem, and yet he really hasn't had much of a chance to pass the ball.
Well,
and I'm a little surprised by that.
Well, John, the better passer is just that, a better passer, but actually not a very good passer. And right now they're in a pretty tough situation. With the type of offense that they run, it's not meant to be a catch-up offense. And if you don't have a good passer, even when you put them in, you're going to have a lot of problems.
All right, so it's halftime here at East Brunswick, homecoming night. East Brunswick in the lead, 13-0. So let's look at the festivities on the field.
They're in trouble.
On the field for a reunion version of East Brunswick Bears. After the crowning of our homecoming queen and king, the band will play the beautiful Saving All My Love for You, featuring Sam Silver on trumpet. Please welcome the East Brunswick High School Marching Band. are the East Brunswick High School Band alumni. Let's give them a hand. President, I'd like to welcome you all to the 1986 homecoming game. I'd especially like to welcome the returning alumni. It's always a pleasure to have you back at East Brunswick High School. First, I'd like to introduce the rest of this year's class council. David Winter with the flowers is Vice President. Robin Stalla, Treasurer. And Don Izak, Secretary. They're doing a really great job this year. Now to introduce the court. This year's sophomore attendant is Renee Galdari. Escorting Renee is Tom Weston. I'm proud to present this year's homecoming queen, Ariana Asuni. Ariana is being escorted by Annie Hammoud. Congratulations to all our attendants. Before ending, I'd like to personally thank Mrs. Schweitzer, who has served for 6 years as the Booster Club advisor. Without her, this all wouldn't be possible. Thank you.
that's it for this halftime festivities of homecoming, and we'll be back with second half action in just a moment. Well, welcome to the second half of the East Brunswick-Woodbridge game. East Brunswick's in the lead 13-0, and we have been waiting for Woodbridge to come back onto the field now. It's a good 5 minutes, Jim.
Yeah, I've noticed that, John. I am keeping my eye on the game officials, watching to see if they are going to penalize Woodbridge for a delay of game, which can be the case. Borden keeps on looking at his watch. While we have the time, John, I have some statistics compiled by Bill Munyon. East Brunswick had 6 first downs in the first half. Woodbridge 3. Net rushing yardage for East Brunswick was 58 yards. The net passing yardage was 88 yards. Woodbridge, by the way, had no passing yards that half. Passing, East Brunswick completed 5 out of 10, but Brian Forte was 3 for 8. 2 of those passes were completed by Harmon and Ken Pruss. East Brunswick, of course, had the first pass intercepted. Fumbles, East Brunswick lost 1, Woodbridge lost 2, and that last one, of course, was very costly. Yards penalized, East Brunswick 50 yards, Woodbridge just 5.
All right, Woodbridge is coming onto the field now. A little bit late, but nonetheless they're here, and Marcus Borden is looking at the head judge, and we'll see if a penalty will be thrown, penalty flag against Woodbridge.
I have a feeling the referee is going to be a little liberal with the time since it's homecoming tonight. Perhaps they may have told the teams that they would be given a little extra time, and if they were not definitive about it, I'm sure Caprero is going to use all the time he can.
Well, Jimmy, some teams and some coaches have been known to do that accidentally on purpose for psychological reasons. I don't see how it could benefit Woodbridge now, but maybe Coach Frank Caprero is playing games. He's been coaching 24 years, so he certainly knows how long halftime takes.
His privilege, I guess. In the rushing department for East Brunswick, Harmon was the leading carrier. He had 7 attempts for 35 yards. Brunig had 3 attempts, 17 yards. Miller carried 3 times for 6 yards, and Forte that 1 attempt for no yards. And we covered the passing already. And let's see, pass receiving, Pruss had 2 for 55 yards, Brunig 1 for 6, Novak 2 for 27 yards, including that 1 touchdown. So there you have the statistics.
Right,
thanks to Bill Munyon.
And we thank Bill, as always, one of our behind-the-scenes individuals who really helps us out at these games. I just want to recap the scoring for those who may just be tuning in. East Brunswick got on the board first with Josh Miller, a 37-yard field goal in the first period. In the second period, East Brunswick added to their lead. Brian Forte passing 3 yards to Dave Novak at tight end for the score, making the score 10-0 East Brunswick. And then Josh Miller, with just 4 seconds left, added a 27-yard field goal to make it 13-0. So East Brunswick's working on a shutout. And Phil, I've got to ask you, what does Woodbridge do? They only have 21 yards rushing in the first half, and rushing is their game.
Well, they look like they're in trouble right now, but you got to remember, East Brunswick scored twice following turnovers by Woodbridge. Woodbridge has to come out, get the running game established, and they're going to have to hit some pop passes here and there to get back in the game. They're only behind 2 touchdowns, and if they can put something together, they can get back in the game and maybe take advantage of some of the turnovers that they didn't in the first half. East Brunswick had 2 turnovers, and Woodbridge did nothing with them.
Phil, I have to say that the way we have seen East Brunswick's defense play this year, they are very, very good at adjusting to whatever the opponents give them. So we're going to watch East Brunswick's defense. They looked as good as I thought I've seen them all year in that first half.
All right, East Brunswick will receive to start off the second half, and they do lead 13-0. Back deep for the Bears will be Mark Harmon, Bill Brunig, and I believe that's Joe DeVito.
We can look for the reverse off this kickoff. They've done it all year, so I don't see any reason why they shouldn't do it now, or at least faking the reverse.
And here we go, the start of the second half. This is Harmon. Fakes it to Brunig on a reverse. Harmon's got some blockers. He's going to go out of bounds at the 26-yard line, and that's where the Bears will take over, 1st and 10.
I wasn't able to finish off the performance of the girls soccer team. Of course, they are now ranked number 1 by the Newark Star Ledger, that coming on their 12-0 record. And their most recent victory was a 6-0 shutout over Colonia. And they have a home game this Wednesday with Perth Amboy following a Monday road game. Here we go, John.
All right, the Bears, 1st and 10, the ball on their own 26. Forte hands off to Harmon. Harmon spins his way across the 30. It'll bring up a 2nd down.
Big Al Beagles, number 90 in that tackle there.
Harmon picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Bears as we start the 3rd period. This is homecoming night at East Brunswick. Forte, quick drop back. He hits Oken out in the right flat. Oken, nice move. He's got the 1st down.
I'll tell you, a nice block out there by Joe Giroux. That's what turned that play on there. Number 18 shielded his man in, and the play worked. Nice block.
And I suspect that East Brunswick is going to use plays where they sold the advantage at the halftime. This is something that the coaching staff does very, very well.
All right, the Bears, 1st and 10 on their own 42. Here's a handoff to Miller. Miller up to the 45.
And that's a counter to Miller, and nice play. Picked up good yards. Picked up about 5 yards.
Let's give Miller 4. Let's call it 2nd and 6 for the Bears on their own 45-yard line. Forte looking to throw, drops back. Rolling out under some pressure. He's got his man. Joe Giroux with the reception right at midfield.
Joe Giroux's a sophomore, and a nice catch by him. You got to remember, Joe Giroux's first catch as a varsity player was a touchdown last week. And he's getting time due to Edwin Jimenez is getting hurt, and he's making the best of it.
It'll be 3rd and a long yard for the Bears. The ball resting right at midfield. This is the 6th play of the opening drive of the 2nd period. 2nd half, rather. And this is Harmon, big hole. Harmon picks up the 1st down. Got beautiful blocking up front.
Well, you can almost look for it every game now, and it's just a matter of time before Mark Harmon breaks off a big one. That wasn't quite as large as some of the others he's done, but it's real good yardage.
All right, ball 1st down on the Woodbridge 38. The Bears on the move once again.
Moving very well, John.
Forte rolling right. He's got plenty of time. Now being pressured. Will keep it himself. Cuts upfield. He'll pick up 5 yards.
And a 1st down. Very intelligent play that time. Saw his pass receivers covered, just held on the ball and got past the 1st down marker. I'm sorry, that was a 1st down play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He seems to do that quite a bit, but I'm not sure Marcus Borden wants him running quite as much as he does. He's improvising because nothing's there, but I'm sure the coach holds his breath every time the young man takes off.
Phil, don't you think that's a little overplayed, though? I mean, Forte does have a lot of good physical ability, and he can run the ball for yards.
He's such a big part of their offense, though.
2nd and 5 for the Bears. The ball on the Woodbridge 34. This is Harmon again. Harmon accelerating through that line. He's got the 1st down.
And this offense looks like it has a surge.
Well, they've done that in the past, come out the 2nd half and really exploded, and they look like they're coming out right now and taking it to Woodbridge. Mark Harmon, who I said before, has put on some upper body strength, and it's good to see him plow through there. As I said before, we always knew that he could skirt and move quickly, but now he's showing some power.
All right, this is the 9th play of the drive for the Bears. 1st down on the Woodbridge 25. Brunig hit hard. He got back to the line of scrimmage. He may have lost a yard. He did. Let's call it 2nd and 11.
I'll tell you something else I've noticed. East Brunswick is starting to utilize new people on that front line like we said they would. I see, I guess that's Silkafonich on the front line. DiGiovanni also.
7:36 to go in the third period. The Bears facing a 2nd and 11 on the Woodbridge 26. Forte drops back, has to roll out of the pocket. Directing traffic's going to keep the ball. He's inside the 20, and a flag is thrown. A late flag. Let's see what the call is. A clip, and that'll be against East Brunswick, and I think that was against Mark Harmon. Mark was out there looking to be a pass receiver, saw Forte run, turned to make a block, and I think he caught the man from behind. Anyway, that'll move the Bears back.
And that is from the point of foul. So it goes back 15 yards, but Forte had made about 7 yards on the play. So East Brunswick loses about 7.
Apparently the Woodbridge secondary is doing a good job on East Brunswick's receivers, because Forte had to run an awful lot tonight when he couldn't pick up his receivers.
All right, it'll be 2nd and 18 for the Bears now. The ball on the Woodbridge 34 after the penalty. This is the 11th play of the drive, the opening drive of the third period. Forte will look to pass again. Again, being pressured, makes a nice move. He's looking for an open receiver, firing it in the middle, and a dangerous pass. Looking for Joe Giroux.
You're right, John, a very dangerous pass. Brian put an awful lot on that ball, but two Woodbridge receivers were right in the area there and closed in on it, and East Brunswick was very fortunate that it didn't get intercepted.
I can't help but be impressed by Bob Evans of Woodbridge. He seems to be breaking through almost on every pass play, putting a lot of pressure on Forte. All right, the Bears will face a 3rd and 18. Ball on the Woodbridge 38, and they call a timeout. And that's their first time out of the game.
Well, gentlemen, perhaps after this week or this game is over, we're going to be able to sort out a little more intelligently the playoff situation, because right now there are a whole host of teams that are eligible for the Central Jersey Group 4 playoffs. But what's going to happen is a number of them are going to have probably 2 losses, and that is going to greatly affect their chances of qualifying. Now, the way the playoff system works, you get 2 points for a win and a point for a tie, and no points for a loss. Now, what you do is you multiply the points times the group of the opponent. So, like for last week's win against Edison, which was a Group 4 team, East Brunswick gained 8 points. It was 2 times 4. For the tie, they received 4 points. And that's why I say that tie against Cherokee, a Group 4 team, which is the equivalent of 4 points, might loom very large toward the end of the season when it gets very tight, because you get a lot of teams qualifying. Those 4 points could mean all the difference between qualifying and not qualifying. We're just going to have to wait and see. Of course, in action, well, John, I'll let you pick it up here. They're about to begin.
Okay, the Bears will put it back in action. It'll be 3rd and 18 for them. Ball again rests on the Woodbridge 34-yard line. Forte fakes to Harmon, rolls right, looking for DeVito, and just overthrown. So bring up a 4th down, and we'll see what Marcus Borden decides to do.
This indeed would be a long field goal attempt.
Josh Miller's coming out.
Well, Phil, you mentioned it last week. You like to see the kid get some chances to kick the ball. I tell you what, we're looking at a 52-yard attempt here. even if he doesn't make it, he shouldn't lose confidence in himself.
Well, I think, as you've seen already this week, he's got his confidence back. He's kicking very well.
All right, Miller, and we have to be aware of the fake. Presses the holder. The ball is down. The kick is up, but it'll be way short and to the right. And Ted Bazinko will fall on it. And that ball is going to be spotted at the 6-yard line. A good heads-up play by Ted Bazinko. The Woodbridge man just let it go.
You're right, a very smart play by Ted Bazinko that time. I'll tell you, Josh Miller hooked that ball. He didn't quite get it all, and it was quite a distance, and it fell short. Ted Bazinko, using good common sense, ran and touched the ball down before Woodbridge player ever touched it, and that's why they have the ball where it is.
The ball is spotted around the Woodbridge 6-yard line. They'll have it, the first offensive possession of the third period. Anglem is still at quarterback. That's McKim with the ball. And he's fighting his way. He'll be close to the 10.
I'll tell you that play with Bazinko right there, touching it down, the reason it happened is because most of the times when someone's attempting a field goal, if they miss it, it still goes in the end zone and it's dead, and players aren't used to seeing it. Josh Miller tried it from so far away, and it didn't reach that. When it didn't go in, the players just stopped. Again, Bazinko, good heads-up play.
That'll bring up a 2nd and 7 for the Barons. They trail 13-0 with 5:34 to go here in the third period. East Brunswick has dominated this game thus far. Anglem hands off. I think that's Gary Masters.
Very difficult to pick up, John. But he really only got about 3 yards out of that play. So this is a big third down situation for Woodbridge. They have 4 yards to go. East Brunswick, with this 13-0 lead, would like to keep Woodbridge pinned in their own territory, make them kick from deep in there.
Well, Woodbridge just hasn't completed a pass yet. This is the time to complete one if they want to get back into the game.
3rd and 4 on their own 13-yard line. Anglem, he hands off. It's McKim. He's going to be short of the first, I believe.
Phil, I can't understand that play. A third down, 4 yards to go, and they run it right up the middle.
Well, they didn't pick it up. If you didn't understand that play, maybe you really won't understand this next play because it's 4th down and they got a decision to make whether they're going to try to pick it up or not.
Game official is going to ask for a measurement on this play. Apparently he got more yards than we thought.
He had it across the 15 to the 16. I think he's going to be short, but he is short by about a foot.
And if you're Woodbridge, you really got to think twice before you're going to go for this because you are deep in your own territory. You make it, you're in good shape, but if you don't, East Brunswick gets the ball in excellent field position.
All right, let's see what the Barons are going to do. They have a 4th and 1, the ball on their own 15. They trail 13-0 with 4:29 to go in the third period.
Well, it does appear as though they're going to go for it.
Well, they're either going to try to draw East Brunswick off or just simply give the ball to McKim, number 33.
Anglem on a quarterback keeper, and he's got the first down, but a penalty flag has been thrown. And we may have motion against Woodbridge.
You're right, John.
Wow. Procedure against Woodbridge. It'll bring up 4th down. I mean, the ball goes over to the Bears, rather.
No, John.
I'm sorry, the penalty, right.
They have to punt.
They'll force Woodbridge to punt the ball. All right, so Woodbridge will be punting from their own end zone. Harmon is back deep. The kick is off. It's a good kick this time. Harmon will field it around midfield, drops it, cuts back to his right. He's got some running room and brings it back into Woodbridge territory.
Good recovery on the part of Mark Harmon.
Well, speed is the great equalizer, and when you got speed, you can do a lot of things. Mark Harmon showed what speed could do there.
And finally, the Woodbridge punter gets off a good kick when he needed it.
All right, the Bears will take over on the Woodbridge 37, 1st and 10. Forte, that's Harmon. Harmon crosses the 30.
East Brunswick offensive line, quite a surge that time. Unofficially, I have Harmon for 32 yards on 4 carries this half. That would bring him up to 66 for the game.
2nd and 4 for the Bears, 3:05, 3rd period. Ball on the Woodbridge 31. Here's a pitch to Brunig, right side.
Looks like he got the first down, John.
We'll see where they spot it. He's around the 25-yard line, and that should be enough for a first down.
I'll tell you, East Brunswick does that play an awful lot where they spread you wide to the wide side and run back to the short side. They'll do it with Harmon and they'll do it with Brunig. They did it that time and picked up a first down.
One thing I've noticed, and maybe we should watch for it, the Woodbridge players seem to be hitting late on a number of these tackles, and I think it's just a matter of time before we see a flag thrown. All right, the Bears, 1st and 10 on the Woodbridge 25. Harmon slips. And he gets back to the line of scrimmage. So that'll bring up a 2nd down. Let's call it 2nd and 10.
Clock being consumed on this drive. Woodbridge has only had the possession one time this half, this quarter.
2nd and 10, Bears on the Woodbridge 25. Forte will take the snap. He fakes it, rolls right, looking to throw.
Novak.
He's got someone in the middle. It's Pruss. It's over Pruss's head and intercepted. Don Anglem, the quarterback, playing defense, playing safety, picks it off after the deflection. That's East Brunswick's 3rd turnover of the game.
Well, Anglem was in the right place, and the ball, I think, was tipped by Kenny and tipped up in right in Anglem's hands, and he picked up some good yard after the interception.
So Woodbridge with their 2nd possession of this quarter with 1:49 to go. They trail 13-0. They have a 1st and 10 on their own 24. That's Masters with the ball. Masters, fine run. He'll pick up the first down.
That is probably the best play from scrimmage that Woodbridge has had all day.
Without a doubt, Jimmy. Without a doubt.
Masters brings it up to the Woodbridge 41. First down. Clock down to 1:25, 3rd period. Anglem is at quarterback for the Barons. He replaced Durham early in the 2nd period. And that's Benaziak.
Like you said, there's a lot of jawing going on down there between the players.
Brenowitz and DeVito in on a tackle that time. DeVito looks like he's hurting a little bit. Looks like he's holding his right wrist.
2nd and 6 for the Barons. The ball at their own 44. 38 seconds to go in the 3rd period. We have a timeout.
John, I tell you, Joey DeVito's right in front of the East Brunswick bench, and the young man is hurting. He's looking to the sideline for some relief, and they finally saw him, and they took him out.
All right, John Flynn, number 44, will come in to replace DeVito. Anglem with the ball. And Anglem, they pick up a yard. That'll bring up a 3rd down for the Barons.
DeVito's going back out on the field.
He's a sophomore and he's got a starting job. He's not going to get it taken away from him easy.
Well, you got to learn sometimes when you're hurt, you don't help your team. So you got to stay off on the sidelines.
So another important third down play for Woodbridge, needing 6 yards on this.
The ball is on the Woodbridge 46. Third down. Let's see if they put it in the air. 3rd and 5. Anglin's going to throw. Sets up, looking out to the right side here. And just over the head of his tight end.
I tell you, Dave Novak was right in there and made a good play.
Yes, he did.
That ball was intended for Gerald Sakowitz, and if he could have been one step deeper, he could have made a nice catch and been on his way.
So Woodbridge still does not have any passing yards tonight, Phil. Of course, that pass probably showed us why. It was slightly overthrown. Didn't have a lot of zip on it.
Well, Jimmy, they just don't have any passing game to speak of. It's simple as that.
I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
Now the Barons are going to come formation on a 4th and 5 on their own 46. Back is Mark Harmon for the Bears. Low line drive kick. Harmon will field the ball at his 12.
Without a doubt, that was
And a flag. Harmon gets up to the 20, but that ball's going to be brought back.
I groaned when I saw that play. I knew the officials were going to call it. For you young fans out there, that is a graphic example of what not to do on a kick on a punt return.
That's East Brunswick's 6th penalty of the evening.
And that'll put them back deep in their own territory.
And amazingly, the penalties have not hurt East Brunswick tonight, but still, Marcus Bohr cannot be pleased with that. We have 6 seconds to go here in the 3rd period as the officials mark off the penalty. The ball will be placed inside the 10, let's call it the 8-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10. And that should be it for this, the 3rd period. East Brunswick leads 13-0. Phil, I'd have to say that Woodbridge, unless they change their philosophy quickly and drastically, are just not going to make any serious attempt. They're still in this ball game.
Well, they're still dancing with the girl they brought to the dance, and I think it's probably time to change.
She's not looking too good, Phil.
But if no one else will dance with you, you're just going to be in trouble.
Woodbridge looks like a wallflower tonight. No, the way East Brunswick has been moving the ball, consuming a lot of time. They've got the ball now. They're probably going to keep it on the ground. They have had success running the ball with Harmon and Brunig and Miller. Woodbridge, when they do get the ball, continues to run it also, and they use the clock. I think that quarter right there, they had the ball twice, couldn't do anything with it, and they need to score 2 touchdowns.
Well, Jimmy, they've got to do what they know best, and they've been doing what they know best. Unfortunately, that is not what will get them back in the game. It's a very difficult situation to be in. They got to play catch-up ball, and with their type of offense they have, it's not made for catch-up ball. It's made for ball control.
All right, the Bears, 1st and 10 on their own 8-yard line as we enter the last 12 minutes of the game. Forte on a keeper. Forte crosses the 10 around the 12-yard line. Let's call it 2nd and 7. And the ball's on East Brunswick 11. Counter play, DeVito. DeVito may pick up a yard or 2.
And Woodbridge trying to grab the ball. To no avail. Each running play is taking about 30 seconds off the clock. So already we're about ready to go under the 11-minute mark on 2 plays.
It'll be 3rd and 5 for the Bears on their own 13. They're in the lead, 13-0. This is Harmon.
Big first down, John.
Harmon crosses the 20. That'll be a first down. And again, a late hit, I thought, by the Woodbridge player.
Well, John, East Brunswick seems to be in total control of the situation right now. They're running. There was a third down there. You thought they might pass. They picked the first down running. They're eating up time, and they have things pretty much their way right now.
First and 10 for the Bears on their own 20. This is Brunig. Brunig showing some fine running.
And another late hit we're observing.
Brunig crosses the 25.
You know, I've been holding my tongue here all night, but having covered high school football for a number of years, Woodbridge does have a reputation for getting involved in a lot of antics, late hitting and that sort of thing. We hope that's not the case this evening.
2nd and 4 for the Bears on their own 26. Clock is moving. Harmon trying to break a tackle. He'll get up to the 30.
Well, the one thing you can say for Woodbridge is that they are still hitting. They haven't given up. Not defensively.
As Brian Forte awaits the signal from the sideline, he's facing a 3rd and 1, and the Bears better hurry up. We're down to 9:13 in the game. Brunig, he's got the first down.
And more importantly, East Brunswick holds on to the ball for another possession. Remember, this drive started from deep within their own territory. It's already consumed over 3 minutes of the fourth quarter.
The Bears started on their own 8. They now have the ball on their own 33, 1st and 10. Harmon will pick up maybe a yard.
Mark Harmon is certainly the workhorse for East Brunswick tonight. 15 carries so far, and I have him at 75 yards. Brunig has also carried the ball 7 times for about 45.
All right, the Bears, 2nd and 8 on their own 34. We're down at 8:03 in the 4th period. And we had movement. Let's see who it's against. I think the Woodbridge man crossed the neutral zone. Offsides, Woodbridge.
And we can hear the East Brunswick band down below us, having returned from their quarter of recreation.
Well, Woodbridge is making a lot of little mistakes, unnecessary little mistakes right now, and it's really hurting them.
All right, the ball on East Brunswick 38. 2nd and 3 now for the Bears after the penalty. Brunig outside. Fine move by Bill Brunig. Still going. And he's into Woodbridge territory.
I'll tell you, that's the first time we've seen that play. Brunig came from the left side, went in motion, paused a little bit. Forte pulled back from the center, pitched to him, and Brunig picked up good yards. That's the first time we've seen that play this year.
That's a back-breaking play for East Brunswick, for Woodbridge, against Woodbridge. Gives them another first down, and now they're in Woodbridge territory.
This is the 11th play of the drive as the Bears have a first down on the Woodbridge 43. 7:21 to go in the game, and the Bears lead 13-0. Harmon left side. Nice hold. Mark Harmon. He's down to the Woodbridge 30. Another first down.
By the way, we should mention, if you watch the halftime activities, when the East Brunswick band was playing, you'll notice that a few of the members didn't have any uniforms. Those were alumni of the band that were invited back to play.
That's why we have you up here, Jimmy, for your cultural understanding. All right, the Bears, 1st and 10 on the Woodbridge 30. They are dominating this game. Forte looking, little quick pass outside. Nice catch. Is that Joe Giroux? Yes, it is.
A real nice catch by Joe Giroux, showing very good soft hands, came back for the ball and made the good catch. He made that catch because he looked the ball in. The young receivers, it's like in any sport, you got to keep your eye on the ball. Joe Giroux kept his eye on the ball that time.
And we're keeping our eye on statistics right now. Harmon with 87 yards.
All right, Giroux picks up 9. It's 2nd and 1 on the Woodbridge 21. This is Harmon. Harmon inside the 20. And he's got a 1st down for the Bears.
Well, Jimmy, you like seeing this at this stage in the game. This is actually East Brunswick's first real drive of the game. I mean, we're a sustained drive, and you like to see that late in the game.
Sure do. Of course, this is what they did last week against Edison, if you recall. They were able to consume a large part of the clock in the 4th quarter when Edison needed the ball.
This is the 14th play of this drive. The Bears have a 1st and 10 on the Woodbridge 16. And off to Brunig. Brunig fights. He was hitting the backfield, actually, and still picked up 3 yards.
Just a tremendous play on Billy's part. Shows his strength. He literally carried a tackler with him 4 yards on that.
I was thinking back to halftime when we yelled down to Coach Salino from Perth Amboy, and I asked him what he thought, and he was like, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sure he's joking a little bit, but East Brunswick is showing a lot of different stuff.
2nd and 8 for the Bears on the Woodbridge 15. Harmon's hit, gets back to the line of scrimmage and no more.
Well, those linebackers for Woodbridge converge on Mark Harmon that time. Stopped him cold.
Well, East Brunswick has been in this 3rd and long situation deep in the opponent's territory before, and the call has usually gone on a pass play to Kenny Pruss in the end zone. Let's keep our eyes on number 20.
All right, Harmon lost the yard. It'll be 3rd and 8 for the Bears. 16th play of this drive. We're down to 4:45 in the game. Forte fakes the ball. He's got some time. He's going to keep it. And he fumbles the ball out of bounds, and that's going to go out at the 5.
And they picked up an extra 5 yards on that fumble.
And just enough for a 1st down. When things go wrong for Woodbridge, the whole roof caves in. That was just the wrong play for them to have at this time. And obviously the right play for East Brunswick. It gives them a big 1st down now. And I guess I'll have to credit Forte with a 7-yard run on that.
So the Bears will face a 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. 4:35 to go in the game. They're shutting out Woodbridge thus far, 13-0. All right, Forte brings him out. This is Harmon. Harmon gets back to the line of scrimmage. Nice line play by the Woodbridge defense.
Woodbridge has been true to form. They haven't given up the big play, but small chunks of yardage have hurt them.
I have Mark Harmon for 19 carries this evening, 93 yards.
All right, it'll be 2nd and 5 for the Bears. 18th play of this drive. Pitch to Brunig, and he slips down. Bill falls inside the 5-yard line, but he had the corner, I think, if he could have kept his feet.
That's correct. And our familiar 3rd and 2 situation. Now let's call it 4 yards now. The referee spots the ball on the 4-yard line.
Will we see a fake into the line and a pass to Kenny Pruss?
Look for Dave Novak, maybe.
Let me take a guess. How about Miller up the middle?
He's got to get one up the middle before the night's over. Forte drops back. Flag is thrown. Forte's going to roll left. He's got room. Can he drop any slips? He's in. Forte.
Let's watch the flag.
I didn't think he made it in.
Well, the Woodbridge players don't think he made it in neither. They seem to be giving an official little lip. They seem to feel that his knee was down before he went in the end zone.
We have a procedure call against East Brunswick, so that will negate the touchdown by Forte. And they'll move the ball back now.
Well, Brian was looking, that was a broken play there. He dropped back, it was meant to be a pass, and again, his receivers recovered, so he took off.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 9, or 3rd and goal from the 9 for the Bears. 3:11 to go in the game. This is the 20th play of the drive.
That's an amazing statistic right there.
3rd and 9 yards to go for a score for the Bears. Forte has it. He's got time, he's looking, he's gonna keep it, he's got some blockers. Brian Forte, will he fall in? Oh, and they spot it at about the 1 foot line.
Well, that's a flip-flop on the last play before the penalty. When I thought his knees were down, they were ready to give him a touchdown, and this time it looked like he fell over the line there, and they didn't give him a touchdown. So,
And if he has an inch to go for a touchdown, that's about it. So, timeout here.
East Brunswick.
Phil, you got a comment?
well, you see Marcus Borden going out there, timeout with inches to go, and you know, he's just going out there to steady his guys. It doesn't make much difference what play he comes with right here. But I think we should give some credit to the person who does call the plays a lot, and that's John Emery. John Emery is the no-nonsense coach on the field, Julie. He's a no-nonsense coach and a no-nonsense educator. He's a guy, everybody knows John Emery because he's been here from the beginning of time. But for the people who don't know him, he's a guy with the good-looking Trapper John beard. And I'm pretty sure if he was to shave it, he'd probably bleed green because he's all East Brunswick.
By the way, Phil, let's move on to another subject real quick. We were talking about Ram Bears, remember?
Right.
Last week. One you should have mentioned was Frank Ripple, one of the best all-around backs for South River now. An East Brunswick resident, of course. He had 2 sons that played for the team. Do you have more?
Well, Frank Ripple went to the University of Pennsylvania, I believe, and had a 90-something yard kickoff return that might still be a record. But you got Gene Camera, you got Lou Koza. I mean, there's a lot of Ram Bears.
Right.
You got Tony Toto.
Tony Toto.
So,
And if any more of you are out there, please write in.
so we're really the foundation of East Brunswick.
I hate to interrupt, gentlemen, but I'd like to let our fans know that the ball is on the 1 foot line of Woodbridge. We have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the game. East Brunswick in the lead, 13-0, and East Brunswick will go, obviously. Forte, and we're going to have motion. I think Joe DeVito in the backfield wanted to get the play over a little sooner than the call.
And that is sophomore inexperience.
That's the 8th penalty for East Brunswick, and it'll move the ball out to around the 6-yard line.
So perhaps, yes, Josh Miller is going to come on the field now for a field goal attempt.
And why not?
Sure.
All right, Josh Miller, 2:37 to go. The ball is spotted at the Woodbridge 6-yard line now. It'll be 4th down.
And with the angle here, not an easy kick for Josh. 23-yard attempt.
Yeah, 23 yards, let's call it. And an official's timeout. I don't understand what the officials raised their hand as though a touchdown was indicated, but I'm not sure what they're trying to communicate to the Woodbridge sideline. Regardless, Josh Miller's going to try a 23-yard field goal here. There's the snap. The kick is up. And it's good. So Josh Miller with his 3rd field goal of the night. 23 yards. And East Brunswick goes up on top 16-0.
And that kick had all the authority that we know Josh Miller can put into a kick.
It's just good to see him back in the groove again. And, you know, maybe we made too much of it, and maybe people make too much of it, but I said it last week. I thought he needed to get back into having fun. This week, he looks like he's all business, but he's having fun. He's got to be having fun. He's 3 out of 4 today and 3 very fine kicks. So it's good to see Josh Miller back.
Gentlemen, that was a 21-play drive that East Brunswick had. I don't know how many minutes they actually consumed, but I would say it was a good 6 minutes.
Well, John, this drive started at the beginning of the 4th quarter. So you take it from there. But, you know, when you have people running like that, they have to have some blocking, so you have to believe that that offensive line has been doing the job.
I see the Perth Amboy coach, Coach Salino, leaving right now, and I know he's got to be shaking his head.
He has plenty to think about.
They have East Brunswick's capable of the big play. Then they do a long, sustained drive like that, so they can do a little bit of everything. It's got to worry you.
Here's a statistic you might be interested in. If Woodbridge retains possession on this kickoff, this will be only the 3rd possession in this half for them. And Josh Miller kicks it into the end zone. Beautiful kickoff, and that'll come out to the 20.
And he's showing a little emotion. I like to see that. Josh Miller really got his foot into it, and he's looking good. Scott Beanie's called him to the sideline. I know he's going to give him a good pat. A well-deserved pat and a good hug. Wow.
Woodbridge, with only their 3rd possession of this second half, will have the ball on their own 20, 1st and 10. They trail 16-0.
And now the East Brunswick defense certainly wants to get the shutout tonight. Would really serve notice to the rest of the GMC that they are back on the track.
All right, the Barons, Anglin's at quarterback. He goes back to pass, being rushed by DeVito, gets it off. Incomplete. That'll stop the clock, bring up a 2nd down.
Not that East Brunswick hasn't already shown that they're back.
That pass was intended for Al Bigos, Ed Bigos, Al Bigos. And Bigos is the name that's synonymous with Woodbridge football. The kid has had 5 brothers who have played football for Woodbridge. Bigos.
All right, the Barons, 2nd and 10 from their own 20. 2:26 left in the game. Here's a handoff to McKim. McKim will pick up about 7, but you have to wonder about that call.
You wonder because even though they have picked up 7 yards, it keeps the clock moving.
Well, you don't wonder because that's what's been doing all night. They haven't completed a pass yet tonight, and they have 7 yards there. They have no yards in passing.
You know, I'm not sure if they keep statistics on passing defense, but East Brunswick has to be up among the leaders in the GMC.
3rd and 7 for Woodbridge. Ball on their own 28. We're down to 1:48 in the game. Anglin looking to pass.
Wow.
There's a flag.
It's a good call.
And a reception. Sakowitz made the reception. I think we're going to have an interference call.
Certainly, the East Brunswick player hit the receiver long before the ball got there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the first reception for Woodbridge tonight.
You're on the money.
It is pass interference against East Brunswick. It'll give Woodbridge a 1st down, an automatic 1st down.
Well, so now they still got no passing yardage if they're going to take the penalty.
Well, they probably will because it's a 15-yard penalty, am I right? So that advances the ball up.
And takes away the reception.
Well, I'm sure that Woodbridge is more concerned about scoring than they are with passing statistics, Phil.
Well, maybe if somebody's scouting you and they haven't seen you, it'd be nice to know that you did complete a pass.
This is only Woodbridge's 2nd 1st down of the second half. They have it 1st and 10 on their own 42. We're down to 1:42. Anglin has the ball, looking deep. The ball is bobbled around, and
A good catch.
and he's got it. Number 88 for Woodbridge.
Win Aiello.
They're split end.
Defender Rick Oken can't believe it. He thought he had a beat on that ball all the way, and it was just grabbed out of his hands.
Well, Rick had good coverage on it. I thought Rick almost bumped him also while the ball was coming down. But Aiello made a great catch.
Woodbridge takes a timeout.
So Woodbridge, with very little chance of winning this ball game, certainly would like to push across the score here.
I want to say something while we still have some time on the air, and that is earlier, before the game started, there was a ceremony here dedicating the lights at J. Doyle Field. Charlie King was the master of ceremonies and thanked both the Board of Education and the Town Council. I think it's only fair to say that these lights would not be here without the effort of Charlie King and his staff, because Charlie was the spearhead of this many years ago and waited for the right time to get the right type of lighting here. It's been a long time coming, and I know that Charlie is as happy as anyone, and it's a job well done, and we want to recognize Charlie and his staff in the athletic department.
Right, and John, you know, even though East Brunswick has had excellent teams the last couple of years, and they have always had good following, there is no doubt that just these two games, the Madison Central game and the Woodbridge game, have shown that people in East Brunswick like night football, because the stands were nearly packed tonight. You mentioned it before. They're bringing in the people.
Well, night football is just fun football. It's a long day for the players, but it's fun football.
And let me mention one other thing. Charlie's right-hand man and a gentleman who has helped us immensely is Mike Palumbi. And so we give a tip of the hat to Mike for his help. All right, the Barons, 1st and 10 on the East Brunswick 30. Anglem going to throw. He's looking down for Sankowitz. Incomplete.
I tell you, Sankowitz almost made a nice grab. Ball was thrown nearly perfect. Sankowitz dove for it, but could not come up with it.
Dave Novak on that coverage.
Good coverage.
You know, we could sit back here and wonder why Woodbridge has not resorted to this type of offense all night, but it wouldn't do any good.
We're down to a minute 26 in the minute and 26 in the game. East Brunswick leading 16-0. Woodbridge trying to get on the board to save some face here. 32, that's Banaszak. Clock is running.
Woodbridge attempted some misdirection there, tried to keep East Brunswick sleeping.
Well, make no mistake about it, East Brunswick wants to keep them off the board, wants to keep them from getting anything. They would like to shut out this Woodbridge team.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 7 for the Barons. The ball on the East Brunswick 27. Anglem has the ball. He's looking to put it up in the air. He's going deep. Just overthrown Aiello.
So the Barons with one more shot. 4th down and 7 yards to go. East Brunswick, of course, will be on the road again this week. Next Saturday, a day game at Perth Amboy. And then they will continue with another game with J.P. Stevens on October 31st. And that, of course, is Halloween night. And it's looming as again, the most important game of the season for the Bears.
It's going to be trick or treat. We're going to find out. That's the one everybody's looking forward to. I hope East Brunswick isn't looking past Perth Amboy, however.
I'd like to mention that we will not be covering the Perth Amboy game, and not that we don't want to. They do not have the facilities for us to adequately cover that game, but we will be covering the Stevens game. Anglem now on a 4th and 7 from his own 27, lays it up there. This is going to be intercepted. That's Brunig. Brunig's going down the left sideline. I believe he stepped out of bounds. He did. At about the 17-yard line. Somewhat academic.
Well, Anglem just threw that ball up and up for grabs, and Brunig came under it like he should and intercepted it and picked up some good yardage.
3rd turnover for Woodbridge. As we said, it's academic. The Bears will take over with 35 seconds at their own 17.
So our congratulations should go to the East Brunswick defense for really doing a job tonight.
And much of this crowd has stayed. 35 seconds. It was a fine crowd tonight, and they saw an excellent game. Forte will go back to one knee and drop down. The clock will run. We're down to 27 seconds.
And if Woodbridge does not elect to call timeout, that could be the last play of the game.
Ball's on the East Brunswick 12. It really doesn't matter. The clock is running. We're down to 14 seconds. Six seconds. And that'll do it. East Brunswick, first shutout of 1986. 16-0 over the Barons. You see the players congratulating one another. And the Bears move their record to now 3-1-1. And let's talk a little bit about what we saw tonight. East Brunswick came off a fine game against Edison and just dominated. I mean, that defense, you had to be impressed with. Rob Schaefer stands out in my mind immediately in his first half play. Woodbridge just was unable to get on track due mainly to their offensive philosophy. But let's start with East Brunswick, Jim.
Well, they did obviously well when they needed to. Brian Forte did not have the type of passing evening. I don't have the final statistics on him, but I know he didn't have a better than 550% passing percentage tonight. But the running game continued well. Harmon had 93 yards tonight. He was the workhorse on 19 carries. Brunig chipped in, and of course he plays his fine defensive game. I think East Brunswick has given all teams that scouts that came to the game a lot to think about. They are a solid team all the way around. Really no weakness. You know, they show a lot of ability in a lot of areas, and if they continue to play the way they have in these last two games, I'd like to see the team that's going to beat them.
Phil, you mentioned Woodbridge could not get away from the girl they brought to the dance.
Right. They had, with the type of offense that they have, it's not meant to be a catch-up offense. You have to get out and score early. Frank Caparo has been at Woodbridge for 24 years, and he's been using the wing T for most of that time. Quite simply, if you have talent, it doesn't make any difference of what type of offense you have. They don't quite have the talent that an East Brunswick does have. East Brunswick has the guard against New York Giantitis, which is playing the easy teams too casual. They have to go out there, play Perth Amboy very tough, and prepare themselves for a tough J.P. Stevens after that.
Let's talk about that a little bit. We're not going to be covering Perth Amboy next week, but it's still good to keep in mind that, you know, Perth Amboy's in the conference. They need to beat them, and they need, more importantly, to build momentum because Stevens is coming up.
Right. I know Marcus Borden, when I talk to him, he'll say, this is our most important game of the season, because that's his philosophy. He's not going to take any team lightly. I remember about 5 years ago when East Brunswick had a similarly good quality team, went up to play Perth Amboy, which hadn't won a game, and they were lucky to escape with a win. Any team in the red division of the GMC has good people, big people, and if you're not prepared to play, you can find yourself on the short end of the score.
Phil, let me throw out a little hypothetical case to you. You're the coach of Perth Amboy. How do you attack this East Brunswick team?
First of all, after you stop pulling out your hairs, you sit down and you try to formulate your own game plan. East Brunswick's going to do an awful lot of stuff. In talking to Coach Salento as he was scouting down there, he just went like, what am I going to do? East Brunswick shows a whole lot, and I think that's good. I pointed out before, some coaches try to hide stuff that they're going to do. Marcus Borden pulls out all the stops and gives you plenty to think about. If I have to prepare my team, then you can't cover everything. And they're very versatile. So Perth Amboy's just going to have to come in with their own game plan and hope that they can get some turnovers and big plays in order to upset East Brunswick.
Well, okay, homecoming night, a big night for the East Brunswick Bears. They shut out Woodbridge 16-0. They'll look toward Perth Amboy next week, and then J.P. Stevens following that. Again, a reminder, we will not be bringing you the Perth Amboy game, but we'll be back for the J.P. Stevens game. So for Phil Hill and Jim Allinder, I'm John Meggiolaro. Thanks for being with us.